Okay, guys, I am super excited to welcome our next guest to Let's Get Freaky. We have got Jason from AFK Discussion Podcast. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
Well, thank you. I'm excited to have you on, man. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, dude, it's an honor to be on here. I really enjoy just kind of talking to people just about my experiences and everything. It's just really cool to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get into your experiences, but first, can you tell us about your show, and what got you into doing the show?
Yeah. So we're AFK Discussions. I am one half of the podcast. My co-host Ty. He's more of a skeptic and I'm more of a believer, and that's kind of our dynamic. Um so yeah, we've been going a little bit over a year now, and I'm friends with Tony Merkel, and he kind of inspired me to kind of do my own podcast, and just because I really love this stuff, and just kind of bring a, I guess there are other podcasts like ours that have the skeptic versus believer aspect, but so Ty and myself, we used to work together. I recently got laid off, so it is the time of our economy and stuff is kind of in the trash right now. So I mean,
Yeah, man.
it's not I'll find something else. It's not that big a
Yeah,
deal. Um, but yeah, so we worked together, and I used to get up and go up to his desk and like, hey man, what do you think about time travel? And we just start talking. So I was like, we should do a podcast where we just do this, so that it happened. And I was talking to Tony. He's like, dude, if you want to do a podcast, go out and just buy the stuff and just do it. You're never going
yeah,
to do it unless you just do it. So
hundred
literally
percent.
that weekend I went to Best Buy, bought all kinds of stuff, and started the podcast. So
Awesome, man.
yeah, but
Is it?
I was going to real quick let everyone know where they can find us on anywhere in social media: Facebook, Instagram, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on there: Apple, Google, Spotify, just wherever. But remember, subscribe, 5-star reviews.
Yes, that's always the way. Awesome, mate. Your show is absolutely awesome. I love it. You mentioned Tony Merkel there as well. The Confessionals podcast played a big part in sort of inspiring me as well. To be honest, that was a show that I used to listen to every week, and I was like, oh man, I'd love to talk about this stuff every week as well. So that was a
Yeah,
big reason why I started this show. To be honest.
yeah, definitely. And there is like a very big part of that. So I'm a Christian and I'm a strong believer in God. So I was listening to Tony. This is it gets kind of wild, right? I totally believe this is like a God thing that happened. So I was listening to Tony, and he was talking about moving, right? If anyone remembers, or anyone who listens to confessionals will remember him talking for weeks and weeks about moving out of Philly. And so I was like, just something told me, it was like, my kids are going crazy right now. I don't know if you can hear that,
That's cool. I
but yeah,
can't hear it, man.
so
That's cool.
yeah, yeah. um, so like it was just something like a little voice. It's like, Tony's going to move to Tennessee, and you're going to become friends with him. And
Wow.
I was like, no, Tony's not moving to Tennessee. And then like a few weeks later, he's like, well, guys, I'm moving to Tennessee, the Knoxville area. And I was like, that's where I live. So I started like sending messages and stuff. And finally he never replied, because I'm sure everyone from Knoxville was sending messages, hey, let's go get a drink or something, you know how that goes. Um, and I'm a graphic designer. So I was like, well, let me design some stuff for him. So I sent him some designs, and he was like, dude, this is awesome. And he's like, where are you from? We started talking. He's like, really? That's where I'm moving. So, we became friends. So
That's
yeah,
awesome, man.
it's, I really think it's a God thing that like I got, we kind of became friends.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Man, I want to move to Tennessee. Can I
Tennessee's
join?
awesome.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah, dude, come on. It's awesome.
Tony's a cool guy. I've talked to him a little bit on social media. I know he's a very busy guy. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get him on the show. He says he will come on at some point, but he's
Yeah.
he's he's inspired me massively. So he's played a massive part in inspiring me as well. It must be so cool to have a friendship like that as well.
Yeah. It's really cool. He's really down to earth guy, and just, he's I mean, just very humble, and it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And you live in a cool part of the world as well. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Tennessee's a cool place.
Tennessee is awesome. Of course, I've lived here my whole life, so I really don't have any experiences living anywhere else. But I've heard stories that other places are just not that great. So,
Yeah. How far are you from the Smoky Mountains? Are you pretty close to that?
about an hour. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice, man. I want to go there. I mean, the lore, the myths, the legends that are there.
Gosh,
Awesome stuff, man.
it is so heavy, the Smoky Mountains. It really is.
Yeah.
Um, you just have to experience. So I know you know Phil from
Yeah, I
Exploring.
was gonna say
Yeah,
we've got to mention the legend, Phil.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man.
So he came down here about 6 months ago, and we went out and recorded some things, and then he recently came back and we recorded some more. And man, it's an experience, because I
Yeah.
had never been like on a ghost hunt. The first one I've ever been on was with Phil, and it's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
and Phil just seems to be an attractant, like something, like everything's just attracted to him.
Yeah. Phil is an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Uh Absolute legend. He's got the best beard in the paranormal world, I would say.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
I watched your recent video with him today actually. And
Oh,
man,
really?
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff, man.
Yeah. The which one did you watch? Phil's video
So
or the one put
the
out?
one that you put out, your latest video, I watched
Okay. Yeah.
today, and I think it was sort of because Phil put a video out and then you've put extras out. Is that correct?
So we both recorded at the same place. And so Phil will put a video out at the same place. We just, I guess, that was the place we visited first, and
Oh, okay.
he put the third place we visited as his first video. So it just it's a good mix though. But man, the Seven Islands Birding Park, that's what it's called. So it's a state park, and it's renowned for bird watching. That's what it's known for. But when you get there, like I went there with my family back in July, and it was my first time there. I had heard some things. It was haunted. I had just got a spirit box, and my kids were like, "Let's bring the spirit box." So I was like, all right, I'll bring it." Um, so we get there, and they have signs posted. It says "No one allowed after sunset" and all this stuff. And I thought that was very strange, right? Because there is a couple of videos floating out of people who have investigated at night there. Um, but I did ask a park ranger, and they said if you are caught there, they will prosecute you to the full extent of the law. So yeah, so I do not want to go there after dark, right?
Yeah. So
um
all
Go ahead.
during the day, are you allowed to go in there anytime during the day?
Yeah, anytime during the day you can go. Yeah.
Is that without permission, or can you just rock
Yeah,
up in there?
it's open to the public. Yes,
Oh,
it's
okay.
like a
Cool.
public
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
So back in July, it was actually July 4th weekend. So we go to this house, and it's me and my family. I have the spirit box. I'm like asking some questions. Um, I'm sitting on the porch, and I ask, I've heard stories of Dogman and Bigfoot in the area. Is there any portals? And I get a spirit box response that says monsters, but my camera didn't pick it up. Like it shut off and it didn't record. So I was like, well, shoot. Um, so I'm walking around doing some other stuff, and I really wasn't that many other EVPs or spirit box responses that I got. So we're leaving, and I turn my camera on, and I'm explaining what happened on the porch. And all of a sudden, my daughter's like, "Daddy, there's a black shadow in the top window of the house." And I'm like, "What?" And then my other daughter's like, Dad, I just saw a shadow in the house." And I turn the camera around, and of course, I miss it. I don't see it. And then I go on to explain that, the monsters, we heard that on the porch, and, we're pretty much leaving because I don't want my kids to be around that. So my kids and my wife are about, let's see, probably, I would say 15, 20 yards ahead of me. So I stayed back a little bit. I turned the spirit box on and started talking again. And I said something to the effect of, when I was on the porch, I got a spirit box response that said, monsters. If there's monsters in the area, can you say it again? And there's a little girl voice. And so I sometimes spirit boxes, I'm like, oh, it's just the radio. I'm just, picking up sounds, and I'm hearing what I want to hear, through the radio. But this definitely is one of those that something you would not hear on a radio normally, right? It was a little girl voice, and it said stirs, like that cadence. Yeah, so that really creeped me out. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a little girl voice. And I pretty much stopped the video and got the heck out of there. So
Wow,
yeah.
man. It's amazing when you capture something like that and you know that it's not, as you said, it's not the signal from the radio. You just know that there's something different to that sound.
Yeah.
Interesting, man.
Yeah, it was very creepy. And then when Phil and I went back, when we were there, like Phil, when we first go in, he's like, I think I saw a shadow up in this room. And that's the same room that where my daughter saw the shadow from the window. And there was, just a bunch of spirit box things that happened. My camera kept shutting off, which is weird. I have a GoPro 10. I've never had any issues out of it. We just went on a cruise recently, and it was like, 90, 100 degrees, and we were in the Caribbean, and never shut off. I had it on the whole time, filming my kids, we were swimming with it, no problems. But for some reason, when I got back, my footage was gone when I was uploading. Like the intro and the outro was gone. And then we did this dual spirit box recording session where I took my spirit box, Phil took his, we synced them up. So they were on the exact same channel, and we started them the exact same time. So we, possibly could get a stronger signal. So I missed that whole thing, but Phil's going to put that out. So I'm not going to spoil anything. So just video and see what happens. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
yeah.
It's
Also,
freaky.
I'm sorry. I
No,
just
it's
thought of
cool, man.
a thing. It's very exciting. So we were on the front porch of the house, and we were doing spirit box session, and we caught, it was like a conversation with the other side. It was so weird. I'm just going to tell you guys, because I'm on your show, and I don't want to, like, go listen to our video and you will hear the full, I will tell you exactly what happened. So we're sitting there, and we were asking if there was a little girl. Last time I was here, blah blah blah, little girl. I was like, if there's a little girl or entity pretending to be a little girl, will you say little girl in the box? And it does this like sing-songy. It's a male voice, and it was like little girl, like that. It was really weird. And then right after that, it says Philip says, or Phil says, and then it says Jason.
Oh,
And
wow.
what? That's crazy. I've
Wow,
never
man.
that. Yeah, it was definitely insane.
Yeah, to be that specific on your names, and wow,
Yeah,
that's a cool capture, man.
it was intense. Yeah.
And that's the footage that you caught, but it didn't come out.
No, that footage is on there.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah, so you
That's
guys gotta check that out. Yeah.
that's awesome. And will that be on your channel and Phil's channel?
That's on my channel currently, and then Phil hasn't, I don't think he's edited that video yet. So that may be the last video he posted, because he sent me some of the stuff he's working on right now. And that was from the abandoned city of Elkmont, which is in the Smoke Mountains. And that, oh my gosh, guys, that was probably the scariest experience I've ever had in my life, because it wasn't normal things like last time I was going ghost hunting. It wasn't like a bunch of EVPs, a bunch of spirit box things. It was, well, I mean, there probably are EVPs, but the spirit box sessions really there wasn't really much communication, but there were footsteps. There were some dragging sounds, and just the air was heavy and thick, and you could feel it, like, goosebumps. We'd go into a room, and it would feel like deafening, like, you've been in a room where it's so quiet you can hear your heartbeat, and kind
Yeah.
of like that staticky sound. Well, that's what it was like. But you're in an old cabin, and it's not airtight, or it's not soundproof, but it sounded like that. It was deafening. It was so
Yeah.
quiet. It was wild. And then we went in one cabin, which is cabin 13. Um, and it was so, like, the air was just so thick. It was, I told Phil, like, on the video, you'll see it. I'm walking up, and I'm like, I can't breathe. It feels like I can't breathe at all. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything like that.
Is that when you said, because it was on your, I think it was on your latest podcast episode, you said, because Phil doesn't normally get scared in these situations because he's out on his own and stuff doing this. But you said that was a time that he got scared as well.
Yeah, yeah, he was telling me that, that's one of probably the creepiest experiences he's ever experienced.
Wow, man.
Just because it's so different. I mean, it was like a physical experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
That,
scary, not being able to breathe, not being able to, that's a horrible feeling.
yeah, and then, like, just the, like, the sense in, like, the pit of your stomach of like a doom sense, like,
Yeah.
have you ever been in that experience where, like, you feel like you're gonna fall off a building, or you get that, oh, like that feeling? That's
Yeah.
the feeling we were getting in these, like, cabins, which was totally different than the last time we were there. The first time we recorded um up there, which was 6 months ago, was nothing like that at all. We did get some very, very interesting things happen. Like, we were asking, so there's a legend in the Smoky Mountains of a witch that's called Spearfinger. And
Yes. Yeah.
so, yeah, yeah. I don't know if anybody's watched the TV show Mountain Monsters. I know that show can be kind of hokey, but it is a true legend in the Smoky Mountains of Spearfinger. And Phil asked the question, if is there a witch, a Spearfinger witch in this area? And then through the spirit box, it said, that's devil worship. Dude, that was crazy. Yeah, that was insane,
Yeah. Yeah. Scary stuff, man.
Yeah, it is.
I've been in situations where I've been in a haunted location, and you get that intense feeling of I've got to get out of here, and it's not a
Yeah.
nice feeling.
No, not at all. No.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
I want to come out with you guys, man. That I
Come,
mean,
come down to Tennessee, man. We'll do it.
yeah, I would love to one day for sure.
Yeah.
So, what got you into the paranormal? Where does it all start for you?
Oh man, gosh, it starts way back. Um, so let's see where to start. I guess I'll start back when, like, this is what my grandmother and mother told me, is when I was a child. I was sitting in my high chair at the dinner table, and they were cooking dinner, and they heard laughter and talking. It sounded like it was coming from around me. So that's the first I've ever heard of an experience that I had. I
Wow.
personally don't remember that, but that's what I was told, right?
Yeah.
So probably I'll fast forward, because there's little things here and there, but nothing really crazy until I get to high school. Then the craziness happens. So my parents' house, it's the property has been in my family for years and years and years. Probably maybe late 1800s, probably. And so there was an old house there. We tore it down, and we built a new house on, top of where it stood. So in I'll start off. So in eighth grade, which is in Tennessee, we call it middle school, or some people call it junior high. I had some friends over to spend the night, and one of the guys woke up, and he said he saw a rat, but like the size of a dog. like sitting on his face, which I mean, we didn't have any animals like that in the house, right? And he said that he went to swipe it and it like disappeared. So he was crying and like we had to call his parents to come pick him up, and it was a whole ordeal. And like no one believed him, of course. So fast forward to when I'm in high school, which is 9th, 10th grade, I think is when it started happening. I would wake up at night and there would be what I call a black mass. The only way I can describe it, do you know what a tumbleweed is?
Yeah.
Like if you the old Western movies, there's those weeds that are kind of intertwined and they just, go rolling across the prairie. Well, that's what it looked like, except it was all black and it would like undulate and twist and undulate and twist and twirl, and it would be like right above my face. And I'd wake up and I would see it. And this happened for years and years and years. It wasn't just a one-time thing, right? And at first it was very scary. I was terrified. I slept with my lights on. I never slept with my lights off. And like I said, first I was terrified, and then I started getting just mad because it would, disturb my sleep and I wouldn't sleep good. And I would like start swatting at it, and it would retract and go up into the corner of my room and then just disappear right into this one specific corner. Almost every night this happened. So that is like probably the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced, because it happens so frequently. And I chalked it up to, probably a lucid dream or a waking dream, we wake, but it happens so regularly that it seems more than just a waking dream or no. So I was listening to Tony's show. It was, so I went on Tony's show actually in 2019 and told this story and a few others, which I'll get into. But fast forward, I think it was 2020, he had a guest on from Australia, and she told the story almost identical to what I just told you. And it like freaked me out because my show was a member show, and it was kind of like a collaborative show with like 3 other people, and mine was the last story. So the likelihood of her hearing my story and just kind of reiterating it is not that I don't think that she would have heard it,
Yeah.
But so she said, she'd wake up and see this like black, and the way she described it is so much better than the way I described it, because I described it in tumbleweed and switching around and stuff. So she said if you took like a bowl of water and you took ink and you dripped ink into it, and the ink would swirl and stuff like that, that's a better description than what I gave you. That's what she saw. And she also said it would retreat into the corner of her room, but hers was different. It would turn into a figure. I never saw mine turn into a figure. But it's very strange how similar our stories are, our experiences are. And have you seen the TV show Stranger Things?
Yeah. Yeah. Love that show. Yeah, I love that show. Big fan of that show.
So when I was watching the last season, and they're in Russia and they're in the gulag, and they go up there and there's that ball of stuff inside. Yeah. That is what it looked like.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, that's what I saw. I've seen that. That's what was over my head. Except of course it was smaller. But
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So crazy.
Wow. Was it solid? Could you?
Yeah. Well, it was like, look like tentacles. So Venom from Spider-Man. You know how the liquid kind of
yes
ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. Yeah.
Interesting, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It is very, very, very freaky.
Yeah, for sure. That's what's good about the podcasts as well that talk about experiences. When you hear someone else that has had a similar experience, it makes you feel so good that someone else has had that experience as well.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Wow, man. Wow. I had a, this is sort of similar. So me and my mother-in-law, we saw what we put down to a UFO experience, but I don't know what it was really. It was three objects in the sky that we was watching from my flat at the time.
Mhm.
And like what you were saying, they were changing shape, but there was three of them and they were sort of connected but not touching. And they were
Mhm.
sort of revolving around each other. But I always say it was like in the Terminator when he's melting and it's that
Yeah, yeah,
silvery, it looked like that. It was that sort of look. And
yeah,
it was just constantly changing shape. And we watched it for 5 minutes and it just sort of shot off, which was pretty crazy.
yeah.
So I don't know what that was, but I always say
Yeah.
UFO, but
I would say that's very similar. So mine, was black and smaller, but yeah, very similar. Yeah.
interesting, man. And you used to see it go to the same point in your room
Same
and just
point
disappear.
every night. Yes. Well, no, I wouldn't say every night. Pretty much, it was very regular.
Yeah.
In my mind, what I'm remembering, it was every night. But it may not have been. Yeah,
How
it
long
was
how long was that going on for?
like years and years. I think until I moved out of my parents' house.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Even like after I moved out of my parents' house, I got a weird feeling when I go in my room. Like after I left. I never really felt weird in there when I lived there, except, when that thing would come and go. But going back after leaving, it felt weird. I don't know if it's because, I wasn't there anymore. And then going in, it was like, there you are, kind of
Yeah.
felt that presence. Um, yeah, it's very weird.
Interesting, man.
Yeah.
Have you sort of, I know it might be difficult, but do you know what it could be? What sort of, where's your head with it now?
I have no idea what it could have been. Um, I've been hoping that maybe someone would hear the podcast and like, I know what that is, and contact me, but no one has. Maybe now, hey guys, if you
Yeah.
listen to this right now,
Yeah.
get a hold of me. Let me know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting that lady that you heard in Australia had such a similar experience.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's just people that are talking about it. You imagine how many people are out there that have these experiences. I mean, I know people that have experiences that won't talk about it, So there's a lot of people out there that can experience stuff that don't even share it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Interesting, man. Interesting. But you didn't get a nasty feeling from it.
Um, at first I did, but then I was like pissed off because
Yeah.
it
It's
happened so
waking you up,
regular,
man. Yeah.
you know. Thing.
So
Um, yeah, it's just weird.
yeah, man. It's a cool experience, but yeah, it's difficult to deal with, especially at night when you're sleeping. That's the worst time. It's normally when things happen, but it's the worst time, man, because
Yeah,
it's your safe space, and something's there.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Very interesting. But it keeps going, like weird things happening. Um, I saw something that I don't know if it was a dog man or what in Appalachian folklore is called a black dog. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yes.
So one night my friends and I we were out skateboarding. So we didn't get harassed by the cops. We'd go, late night and hit the spots and so we're on the way back. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning and we're on like a little small back road and there was this giant wolf, I guess, but it was like taller than the front of the car. I mean, and it like crossed the road in like one step. Like it was
Wow.
huge. um I mean, imagine a Great Dane but bigger and wolf like looking. That's what it was. We just saw it for a split second and it was gone. It was in this like marshy area, which is weird in Tennessee to have, but this one little area in the town I grew up in has this like a little marshy area, and it was right there. It was so strange. Um, and also there was a girl I went to high school with. I didn't experience this. This is something secondhand. But I had friends. So she lived in a house. It was kind of back in the woods. and supposedly her dad was into the occult, or like, I don't know if he was into Satanism or what he was into. But supposedly he summoned something, and I had talked to her recently. I'll get into that in a second. So my friends went in there and they said that each room felt like, one room felt warm, one room felt cold. Like there was no electricity or water in the house. It was all turned off, but it was cold outside. I think it was in winter, but it felt like 70 degrees in a room, like they would go into. This is all hearsay because I wasn't there. It's just what they told me. But a lot of people had experienced weird things in this house. The house is supposedly still there, but no one's allowed it. It got bought by a company who bought the land and developed the front of it, but the house is still back there and it's still intact. So this is going to tie into Tony's show also. So he had a guest on more recently. I think it was maybe 2021. It was a little bit after he moved to Tennessee. He had this guy on, and I think it was called Dogman of Oak Ridge or something like that. I can't remember the exact title, but all that guy's story took place pretty much where I saw that thing cross the road, and also where that house is that my friend went in and like felt different stuff. And so I contacted the girl who grew up in that house, and she told me, she was like, it's weird that you contacted me because I always felt like there was something watching me from the woods when I lived there, like some sort of creature. So I don't know what it could be, but
Interesting.
that guy's story, it was like he said he heard howling and stuff in the woods. He was apparently, I don't know, sleeping in his car or something. I can't remember the exact story. I don't know if he was waiting to get from what I remember, he didn't have an apartment yet, and he's waiting to close or a lease on an apartment or whatever. So he was sleeping in his car or something, and he heard howling, and something like threw something at his car, if I'm not mistaken. But it, like, his whole story goes right along where all that stuff took place I just told you about. And the thing is, his story continues on, and I live in a different place than the town I grew up in. But it ends close to where I live now, his experience, and which I thought was really weird too.
What was he putting it down to? Was he putting it down to a wolf creature or a dog man?
Yeah, he was saying some sort of dog man or something was chasing him, and like, yeah. He said,
Wow.
like, when he was driving down the interstate, it was like ramming his car.
Yeah. I must have listened to that episode because I listened to most of them, man. So I must have heard that.
Yeah.
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
So he saw what you saw as well.
Potentially, because I still don't know exactly what I saw. Like I said, I don't know if it was, the Appalachian black dog or a just a giant wolf. I don't know. I mean, it would have to be huge.
Yeah.
I would say it was a two-lane road, and it stepped out of like the ditch on one side into the middle of the road, like,
Yeah.
on the middle of the road, then over. Like, so two-step.
Wow. So that's big, man. Yeah. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you spoke about it in your last episode. Do
I
you
think
have wolves in Tennessee?
Oh, yeah. So we do not. Well, they say we don't have wolves in Tennessee, but there could be wolves here because they also say we don't have black panthers, but they have been sighted.
Yeah. Yeah, for
We
sure.
we definitely have coy wolves, which is a hybrid species. It's a cross between a coyote and a wolf. And Phil and I think we saw coy wolves whenever we were at the Bud Ogle cabin, which is Phil's video he uploaded last week. Yeah, we definitely saw two either coyotes or coy wolves, or they may be wolves. I don't know. So
Interesting, man. So
yeah.
the one you saw was on all fours.
Yeah, it was on all floors. Yeah.
Interesting. Because you do hear with Dogman sightings, they're not always on standing upright. So
Yeah.
there could be like a mixture. Sometimes they're walking on all fours. I don't know, but
Yeah.
interesting, man.
Yeah. It really was.
Yeah.
So let's I got so much more stuff. So
I
let's
want it.
get
I want it all. If you don't mind, I want it all.
yeah, yeah. So so fast forward to more recent times. So um I would wake up this in my previous house. I would wake up and I would see like shadow figures in our room, in our bedroom. Um I saw one which looked sort of like what I would call the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. That's what it kind of looked like, that green fate, like a
Wow.
like goblin creature. That's what it looked like to me. And I was wide awake and I saw it. It was very weird. So my wife, she was like, whatever, you're just, asleep or whatever. Like, so we moved in 2019 to a new house. And so there's been some really strange things happening here now. And my wife has experienced it also. Um, so one, I haven't experienced this, but so I snore really bad. So my wife likes
Same,
to go
brother.
to, yeah, she likes to go to sleep before I come to bed. That way, she can go to sleep, because if I'm snoring, she won't be able to go to sleep. So I'll lay on the couch and watch TV or something, right? But she'll be laying in the bed and she'll feel like the bed vibrate underneath her. Um, so that happens, and this is where it gets really weird, right? So apparently, I exercise demons in my sleep,
Whoa.
right? That's what I don't remember, but my wife said I'll be dead asleep and I'll be talking and I'll be like, in the name of Jesus, you get out of here, and like,
Interesting.
yeah, which I don't remember happening because I'm asleep, but she's told me I've done it numerous times.
Wow.
And we have felt, um I don't know what it is. It feels bipedal but small. So we have 3 cats, but we've checked and there's no cats in our room. Um, but we felt something walking on our bed and felt like 2 feet. And the way my wife describes it is like little stick legs, like walking on the bed. Um, she has experienced that more than me. I've experienced a couple times. And it's very weird. Um, I don't, yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
Do you see anything, or is it just feeling it?
No, just feel it. Yeah, just
Wow.
feel walking on the bed. Um, I don't, like I said, I don't know what's going on with it. It's very, very strange. Hasn't happened in years, not years. Hasn't happened in months. Um, so also I have seen this sounds crazy. So this may be a waking dream. I don't know if it's what it is, but I woke up and I swear it looked like a Bigfoot standing next to the bed. Uh, yeah, that I don't know if that's 100% real, but
I've
I saw
I've heard that before though. I've heard that. I've heard people wake up and have seen Sasquatch in their bedroom. I've heard
yeah,
that.
really.
Yeah, man.
So it may be a thing. I don't know. It's really weird.
So was
I don't.
that a full-bodied Sasquatch in your room?
Yeah. Like I could see it like plain as day.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird. And the reason, like, our window, we have a neighbor that has like a security light that's on all the time, so our room is never completely dark. So yeah, I totally could see it. It was yeah.
What did you do when that happened? I mean,
I don't remember actually.
terrifying.
It was, I mean, I think oh gosh, I just remembered something else. So I think I may have prayed or something, honestly.
Yeah.
Um I can't really remember, but this one time I remember I was laying, and I usually like sleep on my side, like facing the edge of the bed. Well, this one night I was facing the opposite, and I felt something touch my back, like an ice cold hand touch my back. Yeah, that freaks me out. That like legit happened. I know for a fact that happened. There's no mistaking that. I mean, I like
Yeah.
curled up in my blanket and I was like, I didn't want to. I never want to wake my wife up because, I don't want to scare her when something like that happens. But also, you sometimes get desensitized to things like that when you have kids because there's numerous times I'll wake up and my kid is like in my face,
Yeah.
in,
And that's scary.
I'm
Yeah.
scared, so
Yeah.
that can be terrifying. Also one night, my wife's bedside table, not dresser, but I guess you just call it bedside table. I don't know. But the drawer opened. I heard it open, like slide open, then slide closed.
Yeah.
That was freaky.
Wow, man. So there's a lot going on around in your house.
Yeah. So nothing's happened in a while. And I will tell you why. We kind of figured out what had been going on. So my mother-in-law went to Africa, um, like I guess a couple years ago, and I don't remember her bringing this back, but she said she did. I was in my room and I was looking for something, and I have a box of just random things in my closet, right? So I was digging through there and I find this whistle, and it's got all these strange markings on it. I'm like, what is this? This is weird. And I go on Instagram. I think I made a post about it. It's like, I found this whistle. It's very weird. It just appeared in my house. I don't know. Weird. Actually, it wasn't in the box. It was laying on my dresser. That's right. And I put it in the box afterward, after I found it. And because I asked my wife, I was like, what is this? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know where it came from. Um, so I made a post, and someone had commented that it was a African voodoo whistle. And I looked it up, and it legit is a voodoo whistle they used in ceremonies, right? So, and I've heard stories about this also, that sometimes, practitioners of the dark, I guess you would say, would like, put spells on things and, sell them to unsuspecting people and, let them go out. So I think my mother-in-law bought this and brought this back to us and gave it to my son, which I don't remember, and he doesn't remember her giving it to him. But she said she bought it. So once I found that out, that it was a voodoo whistle and all that, I took it to an undisclosed location and I buried it, and we haven't had any issues since. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. But it's still out there somewhere.
Yeah, I know where it's at. I know exactly where it's at. So
Wow. That's so interesting, man.
yeah.
You've had no, there's been no activity since that's been gone. Wow. Yeah. Would you say the activity was ramping up as well? Was things happening more and more?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. I know my wife was experiencing more things,
Yeah.
than I was.
That's
Yeah.
something you hear a lot with like haunted house activity. Is that it seems to ramp up, and the more you sort of give it attention, and the more it scares you, I guess, the more power it gets or whatever it is. But interesting, man.
Yeah,
And I think you made the right choice getting rid of it.
yeah, yeah. Definitely the right choice.
So did that clear the whole like atmosphere, or was there a bad atmosphere before?
There really wasn't a bad atmosphere per se. It was just, weird things happening. I remember one time we were in the living room, like everyone, even our cats were in the living room, and we heard someone walk up our stairs, from our basement. And our cat, his name's T'Challa. He's like a little panther. We named him after Black Panther, T'Challa from the movie. He was actually, so the story, my kids, it's like one of the favorite movies. And Chadwick Boseman, he passed away. And the kittens were born shortly after he passed. And so T'Challa they're like, look, we want to name him Black Panther. Look at him. He's so cute.
Yeah.
Look, And I was like, one
Ah,
of T'Challa, because that would be better than Black Panther, you know. So yeah. But
that's
he's like a big cat, like a beast. He literally looks like a panther. He's not like overweight. He's just like muscular and probably I don't know, he's bigger than a small dog. He's a really big cat.
that's
Uh
cool, man.
anyways, he heard something come up the stairs too. He like jumped up and went walking around like investigating like what was going on. Um but yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. Was the kids seeing stuff in the house as well? Because kids
Um
seem to pick up.
yeah, so my daughter says she heard stuff in the attic walking around. My son has nightmares and doesn't like to sleep in his room. Like pretty much every night almost every night he'll come and get in bed with me and my wife.
Yeah, I know that, brother. I've got the same.
Yeah. So yeah, so I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't feel anything like there's something off in here. I don't feel scared. So I don't know what it could be. Honestly, but
Yeah. Let's just say I've got three young kids, and my two daughters have got a room together. They've got bunk beds in their room, and both of them say that they get a weird feeling in the room. And I listen to it because obviously as a kid I had experiences as well. So if they tell me that they're scared, then I'm gonna take note. And often, especially my littlest Ruby, she's always getting up during the night and wanting to come in with us. And yeah, so I understand that, man.
yeah.
Because as
My
kids,
my son's like, I want to watch Stranger Things because his friends at school are watching it, and my wife's like, when you can stay in your bed for a month without coming to get in our bed, you can watch Stranger Things.
yeah, 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 yeah. Stranger Things can be quite scary, man. There's
Yeah,
some
yeah,
scenes in it that are like, oh, for
yeah.
sure. I watched Charles Play when I was 4 years old, which was a big
Oh,
mistake.
so the funny thing, my big scary movie as a kid was the Gremlins. Like I
Yes.
saw the Gremlins in theater, when I was a kid. I don't know what, maybe 5 or 6, and it scarred me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch it now, it's pretty much a comedy, But those, I
Great
mean,
film.
to a kid, the Gremlins are very scary.
Yeah, man, for sure. It's
Yeah,
probably why we're where we are now, loving the paranormal.
yeah, yeah,
That got us started. Interesting, man.
yeah,
I can't believe you woke up. There was a Bigfoot in your room. That must have been.
yeah. It was wild, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. How big was that? Can I
Um,
roughly?
so it was larger than my closet door. I know for a fact. Um,
Wow.
I remember because I saw it and then it kind of dissipated. It wasn't a long sighting. It was like open my eyes. Oh God, there it is, and dissipated. So, um, yeah, I would have to say maybe 8 feet tall because our ceiling is pitched. So the center is taller than the wall. So it's yeah, I would have to say 8 feet tall. Yeah.
Wow, man. I mean, I want to see a Sasquatch so bad, but I don't know about in my bedroom at night. I mean, that's not a place I want to see one.
No, 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 definitely not. Um, no, I've never seen a Sasquatch in the wild. Um, but I think I heard one, like a howl. Um, but I don't know if it was a howl, like a Sasquatch or not, but it was
Was
definitely
was
a strange.
was that in the Smoky Mountains or?
It wasn't. It was close to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which is they have a lot of strange things that happen in Oak Ridge. That's where they built the atomic bomb, and they actually have a hadron collider there. It was in the newspaper. It's they said that they were trying to open portals to other dimensions. They and
Yeah,
they like redacted it and said it was a joke. The scientist was making a joke, but we all know the truth.
yeah, man, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So how far are you from that area?
Um, 45 minutes, I guess. 30, 45 minutes. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah. My
What?
wife grew up in that area of Oak Ridge.
Interesting. So what is that? Is it's connected to CERN, isn't it? Is it connected to
Yeah,
CERN?
yeah, it is connected to CERN. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there is actually other hadron colliders in the U.S. I'm not really sure where they're at. I just know there's one in Oak Ridge. So,
Yeah. I'm sure they've got a few secret ones
oh
lying
yeah.
about.
Well, Oak Ridge, is called the secret city because, the Manhattan Project was there. Where they developed the atomic bomb. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting stuff, man.
yeah.
What's your
Well,
thoughts on?
this,
Oh, sorry.
um, like this whole area is like steeped in history and weird stuff. I mean, from atomic bombs to ghosts to Bigfoot to Dogman to um they call them granny witches in the Smoky Mountains. There's Appalachian witches. Um there is, I mean, just you name it, it's probably in Tennessee.
I love it, man. I love it. What is your thoughts on Sasquatch?
So I believe that Sasquatch is a um I would say interdimensional being. I don't think it's an animal. Um, I would say more along the lines of like a Nephilim or something from the Bible. Um, because it disappears and has other attributes that I don't think a normal animal could do. Well, I mean, unless, I mean, there still are some animals that have like, you know, camouflage, like geckos and chameleons. It can change it. I mean, maybe it could do that. I mean, if it could do that, it may be an animal, but I think it could literally just like disappear.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't. Are you familiar with the Expedition Bigfoot, the new show that's on History? It's been
Yes.
been out maybe a few seasons now.
Yeah.
Season is either 2 or 3. They were filming and they saw like a shadow, but it was a giant bipedal shadow, but nothing else was there, just the shadow casting. That was crazy.
Yes. Was that was over the cave, wasn't it? Was it like on a
Yeah, yeah,
cave?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was wild.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I go Nephilim.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
man.
I know that Joel Thomas. Are you familiar with Joel Thomas?
Yeah.
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 So his theory of the meat suit is very intriguing to me too. Like they develop these bio robotic creatures, I guess, like Dogman, Bigfoot, and then like demonic entities inhabit them.
Yeah.
That theory is really cool to me too. I mean, that could be it also. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. The possibilities are endless. That's what's so fascinating about it.
Yeah, it
I mean,
is.
you get the woo camp and you get the flesh and blood camp, and sometimes there's a bit of tension there. But I mean, how do we know? I mean, it's just I feel like I'm in the middle. I'm sitting on the fence with it, but I find it fascinating the Sasquatch subject. There definitely seems to be, in some cases for sure, a supernatural element that these things
Yeah,
can
yep.
just disappear. Are they going between portals and things like that?
Yeah,
Super interesting, man.
it's definitely more. If it is an animal, it's got some powers.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Something more than an animal.
I mean, the one that you saw in your room, if that's a Sasquatch, that's a supernatural.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And why did it show up? I mean, is it because that old saying, if you peer into the darkness peers back? Is
Yeah,
that like is like, oh, you want to see me? Here I am.
yeah,
Um, that's kind of giving me cold chills thinking about it.
yeah, man, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, what other experiences have you had? Is there anything else that stands out?
Oh man. Let's see. Um, Trying to think offhand anything really crazy that has happened. I know there's something I'm leaving out here.
Because I
Uh,
find it every paranormal experience amazing, man. Some
yeah,
people, some people say to me, like, "Oh, I've had this experience, but you won't find it interesting." And then they tell me it, and it's like, "That's amazing, man!" Because every experience paranormal is amazing.
yeah,
I love it
definitely.
all.
Yeah. So I guess this is, I would say, more supernatural than paranormal. Um so I was healed miraculously on 2 occasions. Um so I'll just go into that because it is crazy. And you know, I believe it was 100% God did it through prayer. So one, when I was younger, I really wanted to play soccer. Like that was my thing I wanted to do, right? Except my foot, like, so let me see if I can get on the camera here so you can see. I don't know how there we go. So my one foot would, face forward, and the other one was kind of pigeon toed in like that.
Yeah.
Whenever I walked, I couldn't turn my other foot straight. So that, it'd be kind of hard to play soccer if you're pigeon toed on one foot. Um, so I went up and I was prayed for, and my foot turned straight, and I was healed. Like, there's no doubt. I mean,
Wow.
it. I started playing soccer. I've never had that issue again. I mean, legit. I mean, the doctors couldn't explain it.
Wow,
Why.
man. Yeah, because that would need an operation or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Or wearing some sort of a brace to
Yeah.
make it straight for years to correct that.
Wow. Was that through the power of your prayer?
No, no, I was at a church and they asked if anyone needed healing to come up, and I went up and I got prayed for, and it fixed it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, man. I'm a big believer. I'm a Christian as well.
yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Now the next one is even dramatic, more dramatic than that. So when I was 8 or 9, probably, I fell off a treehouse and broke my arm. It was a compound fracture, which meaning both bones were off, like, from the other two, like, like, so on the camera. So like that, it would broke and it's like that, right?
Oh, yeah,
They're
nasty.
like off from each other, and you know, in order to get those set back, they would have to go and operate and pull the bones back into place. And they told my mom that, depending on the damage, because the muscles and stuff, and they had to, realign the bones, that, I possibly could have some issues with my arm, and, not be able to use it like 100% or as good, like my fingers or something, because ligament, all that stuff that's inside your arm that makes things work. They could have been damaged. So I remember this like it was yesterday, because it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. It's not like paranormal. Yeah. Um, so I'm in the hospital. I'm I guess an hour or two out from surgery. Um, like, the pastor of the church we were attending at the time came in and wanted to pray for me before I went to surgery. And he was like touching my arm and praying for me. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, my arm feels really hot. It's feels different, right? So they gave me the anesthesia and everything. Took me back for surgery. Um, to my mom's surprise, I came back almost instantly from surgery. And the doctor was like, well, we didn't even have to operate. We lifted his arm up and everything popped back into place. Yeah. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even have to have a cast. Like, they just wrapped it. They just wrapped it in gauze and like gave me a sling. They didn't even put like a full cast on it.
Wow,
Yeah.
man. Just
Wait,
completely healed.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I still had to wear like a sling and stuff, but yeah, it was
Yeah,
crazy.
man. That is awesome.
Yeah, dude, it was. I mean, I'm still in awe of it to this day.
Yeah. Wow. Sorry, how old did you say you was when that happened?
Probably 9 or 10. Yeah,
Wow, man. Wow. And you felt a heat, a warmth.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
It was, awesome.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
really,
Wow, man.
yeah.
Would you say you've always known that there's more to this world that
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I've always been, I guess I've always known that there's a God, and and it's not, you know how like kids are, they're like, oh yeah, you know, the first second they're like, I want to be baptized, like that wasn't me, right? I really thought about it, and like my parents would be like, oh, they're going to do baptisms. Do you want to get baptized? I'm like, no, I'll get baptized. I waited until I was ready, and I got baptized. It wasn't like, kids, yeah, I want to go get in the water and get dunked. No. So I knew in my heart, that, I was, who Jesus was and everything before I got baptized. So I've always been like, I guess connected, feel connected to like the presence of God and stuff.
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff, brother.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in my past that, may be really crazy that happened. I don't think I got a funny story. This is so whenever Ty and when I first met my co-host Ty, he was a security guard in the company we worked for, or I worked for at the time. I don't work there anymore. So we, he plays video games and I play video games. So I heard him talking about it one day. So I was like, hey, you play video games, blah, blah, blah. And we started talking. And it was just in passing because we had a security checkpoint where you had to take everything out of your pockets, go through a metal detector and stuff, because we worked with jewelry. And they didn't, want to cut down on people stealing jewelry, obviously. So obviously we started talking more and more. And I found out he was in the military. So I was like, have you ever heard of the Kandahar Giant? And then he always says, he's like, man, Jason was weird right off the bat. Like, as soon as I talked to him, that guy was weird. Yeah, I would like anytime. Oh, you were a police officer? What's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you?
Yeah. No, not weird to me, man.
Yeah. So that was kind of a funny story.
Yeah, that's awesome. Had you heard of the Kandahar Giant? Because that fascinates me.
Yeah, so I heard about that from L.A. Marzulli way back in the day. Gosh, that's been what, over 10 years ago, I guess, whenever that story broke.
Yeah. Fascinating, man.
It is.
Yeah.
That I mean, I think our world is so much weirder than we even know,
Yeah.
Like giants, like that's what I'm saying, the Bigfoot. I mean, it could be just a giant from leftover from biblical times. It's in North America, because there used to be that land bridge that was it Siberia? No, Russia, I guess, in Alaska. So I mean, they could have came over here. I know there's stories of I guess, was it Paleo Hebrew writing found in North America, and even in Tennessee region, there's been I guess not hieroglyphics. Was it paleo? What is it called? It's not a hieroglyphic. It's a I never can remember the name of it. It's the
I'm
other
the same, man.
It's the other thing. It's not the pictures, it's writing.
Yeah.
It's a I can't
Hieroglyphics? Have I
no,
said that right?
hieroglyphics is different. It is maybe it is drawings and not words. It's the opposite of a hieroglyphic. Hieroglyphic, I
Okay.
think, and a blah is the other thing.
We'll ask Google later.
Yeah. But they found Paleo Hebrew carved in stone. We'll just say it that way. I think in the Smoky Mountain and the Appalachian regions. And there's a legend that I think the Cherokee are descendants of the Israelites, like maybe even a lost tribe of Israel. And also there is also another legend in the Smoky Mountains of the Moon-Eyed people. I don't know if you've heard about that.
No. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so apparently back in the day, there were these fair-skinned beings that lived in the Smoky Mountains, and they would only come out at night. That's why they were called moon-eyed people. And they were very sensitive to the sun, and they would live in caves. I don't know a whole lot about it, except for that fact. That it's I think there's a bunch of like history books written about it. And some people said that they spoke I want to say Gaelic, if I'm not mistaken, or what? Okay, the Scottish language, not Irish, is Gaelic and
Celtic.
Celtic. Maybe is Celtic Irish or Scottish?
Oh, I should know this. Celtic. I
Celtic
think
and
it's
Gaelic.
Scottish. I'm
Okay,
not
so
sure.
Celtic
I'm
and
not
Gaelic,
sure.
one of those they spoke.
Yeah,
I want to say Gaelic for some reason.
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay, let's Google.
Celtic. Celtic. Oh man, my Google's gone funny. Not now. Celtic is Celtic, Scottish, or Irish? Ireland, Scotland, Wales. I think it's both. I think it's both.
Gaelic language.
I can't even read Google.
So Scottish Gaelic is the spoken language. So that's what Wikipedia says.
Yeah.
So I don't know what language they speak in the traditional language in Ireland. I'm going to look that up too because I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Traditional. This is great for a podcast. I love to Google.
This is the research we do, man.
I know. Irish.
I've got to know now, though. That's the thing.
I know you have to. I don't. So I guess it's Gaelic also, Irish Gaelic.
Yeah, that's what it's saying. It seems like it's all.
Yeah, because I thought it was separate. I thought they were, I thought they spoke different languages. Anyways,
it's interesting with our history that we're told doesn't seem to sort of add up.
Yeah, I know.
With the evidence around us, there's so much. I love it. I find it so fascinating, but I don't think the history books that we're given are right.
Yeah, no, right. I saw something the other day. It was on Instagram or TikTok or something about how it's possible we could be living in actually an older age than what we are told. Like we could be 1700s and not in the 2023 because the calendars got messed up or something like that, which I thought that's fascinating too,
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. And then also something, you're saying about the history books and stuff. I guess I don't know if it's just because we're in America and we weren't taught about it, but I watched the Vikings TV show.
Love that. Yeah.
There's the latest one that's out. I can't remember. It's like, I don't know, because the original series ended and then they have the new series, which focuses on what's his name? Is
that his son?
Eric, is it? I don't know. I can't remember his name.
Google.
Anyways, yeah. One of the like historical Vikings that everyone knows. I cannot think of his name. Eric the Red is one, and then his son is Leif Erikson. Yeah, Leif Erikson. That's who it is. So it like focuses on him. And something I did not realize that the Vikings invaded England and sat on the throne for a while. I was like, I had to look it up. I was like, is this real?
Yeah,
I've never heard this before. So yeah, I had to look it up and I was like blown away.
They nearly completely took over.
Yeah.
I believe it was one county, and I don't know which one it was. Again, the research for this episode.
Yeah.
It's not great. But
we're just letting the conversation take
that's
us.
That's it.
So, yeah.
I believe one county held its ground and won back the whole of the UK, because it could have just been completely taken over by Vikings. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah, that was wild though. I mean, I had never heard anything about that.
Yeah.
it blew my mind, you know.
But I like to think I've got a little bit of Viking in me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm fascinated by the Vikings.
I can see it.
So somewhere along the line, it's apparently I did do that ancestry thing
Yeah.
a few years ago. It was a present bought for me, and I done it. The wife bought it for me because I'm not too sure about giving my DNA to things, and I was like, really,
Yeah.
but I done it, and I think it came back. I'm 8% Norwegian or
Oh,
something.
really?
So I've got Viking in me somewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
definitely.
so that was interesting.
Yeah. So I did the same thing. And I have see, is it, I think it's Scottish and British. Of course, my last name's York. So
Yeah,
obviously, you know, I'm from over your way.
and that York is where I believe the Vikings really took over.
Yeah.
I'm sure like that was an area that was really Viking-y.
Yeah. Probably.
Interesting, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome
Yeah,
stuff.
man. Yeah. It's I mean, history is so fascinating, and all the stuff that, you know, we're told that aren't facts, and like the Tartaria thing. Have you
Yeah,
researched that?
I
That is
find
crazy.
that
I don't know enough
fascinating.
about it. I don't know enough about it to talk about it, but it is so fascinating that, to think that there was another civilization and we just took their buildings and destroyed them and built over top of them. Like the whole the World's Fair
Yeah,
in
in
was
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah. They say they built and then just tore it all down. And it looks, I mean, gosh, can you imagine how long it would take to build that?
yeah. Why
I
would you
mean,
tear that down?
I
Yeah,
know it's crazy.
doesn't make sense.
I know. Yeah, I mean, history is wild.
Yeah, I find that fascinating as well, man. I find it fascinating. Interesting stuff, brother.
Yeah, man.
It's a cool world out there. There's so much more to it. Oh, my Siri's popping up now.
Oh yeah.
Not now, Siri. It's gone.
Um,
Interesting stuff, man.
yeah, yeah, it is. Um, but man, so I'm trying to think if there's anything. So last time when Phil was here, we did Elkmont, and it was very strange. I'm trying to I'm just going over my head to see if there's anything I'm missing here. Um, Elkmont this time was crazy. Coy Wolves. Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much
Yeah.
hit
No, thank you,
all the
man.
stuff that I've experienced. I was just racking my. I mean, there's probably something I'm missing, and after we end this, I'm gonna be like, oh man, I should have told him about that. You
Well,
know.
you
Oh,
are welcome back.
there's one more thing. Oh my
Oh,
god,
let's
I
go. Let's
remembered.
go.
Yeah. So in high school, my friend's house was like super haunted, and he is actually an author, and he's a podcaster now. But he has written a bunch of novels, and he has one novel that's in production right now to be a movie. Yeah. He's written for the TV show Castle. I don't know if you ever remember that show.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know that.
Yeah, he wrote for that show. He I think he did some ghostwriting, I think, for, I want to say, Neil Gaiman. He's had stories published alongside J.R.R. Martin. He's part of the Bram Stoker Association of Horror Writers. I mean, he's like a big deal, right? So I grew up with this guy, and his house was super haunted, like crazy haunted, right? Um, so I would, spend the night over there. His grandfather, he lived with his grandparents because his parents were deceased, and so at night his grandfather worked, and it was just his grandmother there, and she would go to bed early, and we would be downstairs in the basement. He had like a little setup in the basement where he had like a little living area and like his own bathroom, and kind of like a little apartment almost set up for him. Um, but we'd hear people walking around upstairs when his grandmother was asleep and there was no one and no one else in the house. Um, his grandmother told me that she was sitting on the sofa one night, and she looked next to her, and the cushion indented like someone was sitting next to her.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah, that was crazy. Um, And then what I really experienced there that was super crazy, it's kind of a trope in movies and stuff. And if it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't believe it if someone told me. But literally, I was in the house. It was me and so his grandparents bought the house next door and gave him that house. So this was like after high school, college days. A bunch of my friends moved in there, and they all lived there. And so I was over there one night, me and one of my friends, and everyone else was at work. And we were sitting in the living room. We didn't have the TV on or anything. We were just talking. And in the kitchen, we heard the cabinet doors open and slamming shut, just like you would see in a horror movie, like a haunted house movie. That it literally happened, and I literally experienced it, and it was super weird. Yeah,
Wow. Cool experience though, man.
yeah, it was weird.
Wow.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's all my experiences.
Are you
Which, I mean,
sure?
there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah. Hey, you've had some awesome experiences. What are your thoughts? What do you think? This might be a difficult question. What do you think ghosts are? What do you think the
Oh man,
possibilities are?
I mean, the possibilities are endless of what they could
Yeah.
be. So okay, where I started out and where I am now is a completely different thing. So I started out like they're all demons, ghosts are demons. They're not dead loved ones, they're demons, right? But the thing that got me is, being a Bible believer and believing that everything in the Bible is the word of God, and that God can never lie. Um, that one passage in the Bible where Jesus is walking across the water to the boat, and all the disciples are in the boat, and he's coming across the water, and they're like, "It's a ghost! It's a spirit!" And they're freaked out, and they're scared. And he gets in the boat. He never says that wasn't a spirit. He never says, "Don't believe in ghosts. Ghosts aren't real. Spirits aren't real." He never said that. He never said they're demons. Don't. He never addresses it. But there it is, the big looming. There's a spirit, and they believed it, and they thought they saw a ghost. So I don't know what they are, but possibly not all of them are demons, because Jesus probably, I would think he would address, that if they were like, oh, he would say, no, there's no demons here, or something, something to that
Yeah.
effect. So I don't know what they are, but I don't believe they're all demons now. But I think there's a lot of time slips going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the one story that I love that I heard, I think maybe heard of Jim Harold's Campfire.
I'm not sure.
Okay, you should check it out. It's a really good podcast. He's like one of the OG paranormal podcast guys. He's been doing it probably longer than, well, I guess on a podcast probably longer than anyone. But he does a call-in show. People call in and tell their stories, but he had a guy on, and the guy said that, when he was a little kid, he was he walked downstairs into the kitchen, and he saw a guy open in his fridge with it open, and like had stuff making a sandwich, right? And it freaked him out, and he thought someone was had broken in the house, and he woke up his parents, and then they came down and no one was there. Fast forward, when he's a teenager, he's in the fridge making a sandwich, and he turns around and sees himself as a kid looking at him.
Wow.
So that's like a time slip that happened, right?
Yeah.
That makes me think that, what if the ghosts are just, time is overlapping, and we're seeing the past and they're seeing us? Like maybe, these haunted places we're going to, we're hearing echoes of the past, or seeing apparitions, or, a glimpse of someone walking down the hall, because they're actually walking down the hall in the past. And then think their house is haunted because they see us at the same time. Like, oh, there's a ghost, so both of us
Yeah.
are seeing the same thing. And that is something that'll like blow your mind to think about.
Yeah.
You think about it long enough. I mean, I know there's a theory called the stone tape theory. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
There, there's certain type of, I think is it granite? I want to say granite somehow can record audio or something and play it back somehow. I don't know off the top of my head the whole theory, but the Smoky Mountains are full of granite. So there's that.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, so I am still on the fence of what exactly a ghost could be. I do believe that there's a lot of times there are demonic spirits pretending to be like your loved one and stuff. But I don't know because there's a lot of like near death experiences that happen where they say they see their loved one coming to get them. You know, they'll wake up, they'll like open their eyes and they'll be surrounded with their loved ones and they'll see Jesus and all this stuff. And Jesus will say, it's not your time. And then, they'll come back and they'll, tell stories of, I saw Aunt Margaret, or something, So I don't know. I mean, I like to think that um God being good, you know, that, maybe like if you had a mother who have passed away, um, that in his divine wisdom, that he wants you to be happy, right? When you die, he wants you to, be in heaven, be happy. That there's a way that he would let you, see your kids grow up if you never got to see them grow up, or something like to that effect. I want to say that God's good and he wants you to be happy and experience the things you wouldn't get experience on earth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. And
I just came up with that. I just came up with that right off the top of my head right now. So
wow. Wow.
I've never thought about it that way. And it just, so my mom and my dad both have passed away. And so that's what I just started thinking about that. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that, man. 'Cause that's a very interesting way of looking at it, man.
yeah,
And that story you said about the boy seeing himself in the future, and then in the future seeing himself as a boy, that is a mind blowing experience. That
it is. And there's other stories like that. I think there was one on, I think I saw it on YouTube years ago about a guy who was a plumber or something, and he was under the sink working on the plumbing, and then he turned around and saw himself, a younger version of himself, and they like took a picture of each other together, and the guy has it. I'm sure you can
he
Google
has
it.
it.
Yeah, he has the picture of them together, like an old version, and unless it's fake. I mean, it could be fake, Don't believe everything on the internet, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's a wild thing to think about.
Wow, it is, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Because I mean, with all this stuff, that it might be, it seems so complex to us, but it might be so that we just can't even fathom how
Yeah.
this stuff happens.
I mean, I think, gosh, I don't think we'll ever know until we actually are there,
Yeah, yeah,
what the afterlife is, or I mean, I don't think we could even speculating what, heaven would be. I mean, it's something that I don't think you could ever wrap your mind around until you're there, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, man. I mean, I've talked to people that have passed and then come back,
Yeah.
and a lot of them, it's the same experience, seeing family members getting an amazing sensation that they didn't want to come back. Some of them say, which I find it's mad, but it's obviously wherever they're going, it's such an incredible experience. They don't want to come. I mean, it's mind boggling, but it's super interesting, man.
Yeah, it is. Gosh, I've never talked to anyone who had a near death experience. I would love to though. I mean,
Yeah,
gosh, I can't imagine. I mean, something that if you had a family like, like we have I have 3 kids also.
yeah,
So I can't imagine going somewhere that would be so great that would make me want to leave my family,
Yeah.
That's hard for me to fathom.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And so many people have that experience and say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot more to this world. And that's why we're here, because it's
Yeah.
fascinating stuff.
It is. It really is. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's why one of the reasons I do this is I want to learn more,
Yeah.
That's one thing with our podcast. I want to put it out there.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
We want to get more guests on, because right now it's pretty much just me and Ty, like, hey, let's talk about this, and we'll just, discuss it. But I mean, it would be great if you guys listen to this and want to come on AFK Discussions.
Yeah.
Hit us, as we would love to have you. It'd be great to talk to some of you.
But I would love to come on, man. If you
Yeah,
ever,
I'm going to invite you, dude. Yeah,
I would-
definitely.
I've had some experiences to share. If you want to hear my
Yeah,
paranormal,
totally.
I'd love to come on, man.
I was going to invite you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff, man. Has Ty had any? I know he's the skeptic, but
Yeah.
has he had any paranormal experiences?
He has had a few. The one that sticks out in my head the most is he was when he was a police officer, he went to a call at this house and he saw a lady in the kitchen, and so he went to the door and there was a lady at the door saying, I can't remember, like he couldn't come in or something like that. And anyways, like there was not a call from the house or something weird. And but there was only supposed to be one person in the house and there was two people there. And his, like, the other officer that was supposed to meet him there said, next time you go, do not go to that house without me being there with you. So yes, I don't think he ever went back to the house, but yeah, that he can probably tell it better. I'm probably missing a bunch, but yeah, there's some strange stuff that happened to him there. But I think that's pretty much the only thing he's experienced, except when we went to when we went to Elkmont. He did experience some stuff there, and it made him more of a believer. So,
oh, really?
yeah, just like, because we heard knocking on the walls, and we're like, "Can you do this?" And then we would hear a reply, and Ty was like, he was freaked out. So
Yeah.
I told him last time we went, he couldn't make it. He had a prior engagement. So I was like, Ty, you better be glad you didn't make it, because you would have been back in the car. You would not have stayed with him. He does not like scary stuff that much. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the more you experience, the more that seems to happen. It's like you open yourself up to this, and the more that comes in.
And the thing is that I've noticed is skeptical people are more frightened by it.
Yes.
Like when we experience it, we're there and we're like, yeah, I'm here for it. Who is this? But if you have a skeptic in that, they're like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm leaving.
Yeah. I think that's something to do with why they are skeptics. That they're just like, no, this is not real. This is not happening. No.
Yeah.
I get it, because this stuff it can be very scary and not nice, but I think that's a big part of that. And you can't control the paranormal. It's so uncontrollable, and I think a lot of people like to be in control.
Yeah,
and that is for me a big reason why there's a lot of skepticism out there, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love talking to people, because it's whenever I tell them I'm a podcaster and what I talk about. I'll give an example. So I was a photographer in my previous employer, and we did jewelry photography, and we did jewelry on models and stuff. So we were there, and I wasn't doing the shoot. I was actually help setting up lights and stuff. And one of the models, we were just talking, and she was kind of quiet the whole time, and she said something about, or I said something about being a podcaster, and she said, "Oh, what kind of podcast do you do?" I was like, "It's a supernatural podcast." Boom, the floodgates opened, and she was like, just talking to me the whole time about supernatural stuff, and everyone. Jason, can you just give us a minute? We're trying to like, all she wanted to do was talk to me and not do the photo shoot anymore.
Yeah.
So, and whenever you find someone and they're like just triggered by, oh, I'm got to tell you this, I got to tell you this, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best kind of people, man. You got to get her on the show, man.
Yeah, I would like to, but I don't know if I mean, I don't work there anymore, so I don't know if I'll be able to contact her.
Yeah.
I know she doesn't have a social media presence, which I thought was weird.
Yeah.
But she does. She does have. I gave her a sticker, and she does subscribe to the show. So maybe one day.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff, brother. Well, I love what you're doing, man.
Oh, I
Keep up the
appreciate it.
great work. Keep up the great work. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you and your podcast?
Yeah, guys, you can find us AFK Discussions wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Just I think we're everywhere. Also, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook. Those are our two main platforms. And if you have a story you want to tell us, I mean, we would love to hear from you. If you want to be a guest on our show and tell us your experiences, that would be awesome. What I like to say is, if you're a vampire hunter, dude, I totally want to talk to you about being a vampire hunter. That would be incredible. If you know Dogman and you like had a pizza with him, dude, contact me. I want to know about what kind of pizza the Dogman likes.
Yes.
That's AFK Discussions, Instagram. That's probably the best place to get a hold of us, or on Facebook. And also, we have an email address, afkdiscussions@gmail.com.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much, man. Jason, you're welcome back on Let's Get Freaky anytime. Keep
Awesome,
up the
man.
great work. Keep us posted with everything that's going on. And thank you so much, man. Hopefully this is the first of many conversations.
Definitely, man. I would love to come back on, and I'm going to have you on our show too. Definitely.
Ah, I love that. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you.